What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. We're here today. These videos will probably be up on Monday because busy Sunday. But shout out to the man himself. Happy birthday to Kyle on this Easter Sunday. Uh, happy birthday to
Thank you. Thank you.
the partner in crime, the best of the best, the studliest stud. How many more things can I
Oh,
say? Uh,
that's enough.
All right. You're right. It was honestly, it was too much.
That was
Let's
one
just be
too
honest.
many.
Um, thank you to our patrons, Steve, Kimberly, Karen. You guys are awesome. Go get some Movie Meals merch. I'll link down in the description below. You can find longer form videos, including the podcast, Another Happy Landing, on the Movie Meals on Spotify, Apple, all that. Go check that out. We're here for a non-spoiler review, Godzilla versus Kong. Um, I, I don't think we need a synopsis here. It's Godzilla versus King Kong.
No,
That's
no,
what the movie is.
the people need to know how they are. All the movies are connected. They need to know about all
It's
these
true.
characters' backstories. Now we don't need that.
It's
We don't need
true. I am glad or we'll get into that, but we'll start with Kyle. Kyle, what were your positives of the film?
the positive is that this movie's awesome and is a blast to watch. Like this, right from the get go, it seems like the director, who's Adam Wingard. I'm not familiar with him. Is
Yes,
that who the
Adam
director's name
Wingard.
is?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like right from the get go, this guy understands what movie he's trying to make, and I think that's the best way for these monster movies to work is when they're not self serious, but rather in on the entertainment part of it. Like, yeah, the character stories, blah blah blah, but we want to see like monsters fighting. We want to see the action happen. So he really makes sure to make it like an event. He really makes sure to have the special effects work so well and to look so great. So that way these monster fights, they just almost feel real, like you're a part of it. And they're so entertaining. They're so much fun. Each fight is always feeling so different. It doesn't feel like it's rehashed. Like there's really creative ways on how Godzilla and King Kong are fighting each other too. And it just feels like a spectacle. It feels like an event. And that's really like the best part of this movie, honestly. It's just that the fights are there and people are in on like this on what this type of movie is, and that's the enjoyment of it, and that's especially what I was able to get. I'm glad I saw this in theaters. I managed to go to another town and see this in a theater rather than stay at home and watch it on the TV, because trust me, you're not going to get the type of fun on your TV as you would in a theater. So I just want to add that little caveat to it too.
I also saw it in the theater. I mean, hey, this man is also not only his birthday, but the man is fully vaccinated.
Yeah,
And the only side
been a
effect
good
was being a
birthday.
bigger stud. I get fully vaccinated on Monday, but I also went to the theater. We live in a smaller, I mean, we live in the state with the smallest population. We've been fortunate. I mean, our cases have gone down, so we've, go out a little bit more. My dad and I went and saw this in the theater
Mm,
as well, and an
yeah.
early showing. It was like noon, and so there were some people in there, but it wasn't super packed. Although the people that were there were a couple of like little kids, like probably like 5-year-olds, like kids
Same with
I
mine.
teach. And they showed trailers because the movie, and it's so many WB trailers because they're the
Yeah,
ones who are really pumping out content consistently now because they're
yeah.
going to put it on HBO Max. And they showed some like serious horror movies trailers, and they were these like kids I could hear in the audience like freaking out. I did get to see the Space Jam 2 trailer though played in front of mine. Did it play in front of yours?
Oh,
I would
honestly,
doubt it
the
would
lines
have.
were so. My girlfriend and I got to the theater early, and the lines were so bad that we still had to wait and miss like 10 minutes of like the first of like the trailers and the movie.
Oh wow.
So I never saw any trailers, but there
But
was
then
also
again,
lots of little kids at my theater too, and they were having a blast with it. One kid cried, but otherwise all the kids were like, "What's happening? This is
yes!
amazing!"
Yeah.
Like it was, and
um
that was part of the fun too. That made it awesome.
I also rewatched the other two movies. I really love this franchise so much because I'm a sucker for disaster movies. I love when we get
Yep.
cheesy with trying to figure things out. Like the movie 2012, beautiful film. I absolutely enjoy it. I love it to death. San Andreas, Twister, get them over. The Day After Tomorrow. I love those
Yeah.
movies where something just happens and they got to figure it out. So when you get giant monsters fighting, it's funny enough because I don't love Pacific Rim, but I do love the Godzilla movies. I think
Hmm.
Pacific Rim gets a little too sci-fi. Granted, this one gets a little bit more sci-fi than before, and I'm just here for it. I'm here for the way they handled it. Adam Wingard did do a great job, and he really did understand this property. I was very down on Adam Wingard, so he's made a couple of really good horror movies. He made the Blair Witch remake in 2016, which actually was pretty good. The Guest, which is underrated, and then VHS 2, which and I believe the original, VHS. He made those horror movies, and those are pretty good, underrated films. But the last thing he made before this was the Netflix's adaptation of Death Note, which is horrendous. Which I also was looking at his IMDb while you were talking. I forgot Lakeith Stanfield plays L in that. I know Kyle hasn't seen it, but plays one of the best characters. And I couldn't even, like, back watching it, I knew who Lakeith was, but like never really put it together. That man is just an absolute talent, and he could have done
He's
something
awesome, man.
if he had gotten better direction. But that movie stoink. There was only one good part of that movie, which was Ryuk, but everything else soured me very much on him. And I was like, man, maybe he is just a small indie horror guy. But to get an opportunity to direct a giant feature, he knocked it out of the park. And Hollywood's always been a what have you done for me lately? I'm all in on him now to see what he'll do next.
Thundercats, apparently.
Is that what is reportedly next? He's got 3 projects on the docket, and Thundercats is one of them. That would be crazy. But I love this movie. I wanted to see Kong, and I want to see Godzilla fight. There's the scene in the trailer where they meet on the water, and that fight ended up being really cool. There are moments where, like, and some of our friends pointed this out, there are moments where it's like the aspect ratios fill off. Like suddenly Kong is like perfect size for a boat, and then all of a sudden it's like, the Kong is way bigger than that boat. Who cares? I'm all in on watching Kong fight Godzilla.
Were you thinking in this movie? What are you doing? Turn it off.
You know, I'm watching currently. Well, let's do our negatives real quick, and then I'll touch on this since it's a little bit off track, but not super. So, Kyle, what were your negatives outside of it not being a auteur film?
Characters. I mean, the actors weren't bad. Like the actors were doing their job well, and they actually made some moments a lot better than I normally expect out of these movies. So they were fine, but you'll expect this out of these movies. Like the character plots, they're there, and you don't. There's some of them come back from like the previous movie, but it doesn't really matter. Like you could have gone into this blind and not need to know the interconnections of every one of these past 3 movies or so. So yeah, that would just be my one negative, and I think it's an obvious one, but the actors know that too, and they're just in on the fun because they want to see themselves in like a big action movie such as this. So I give them props for that.
I have no negatives.
All right.
I don't have a one. I went into the movie knowing what I wanted. I got what I wanted, and it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. It was amazing fights. I rewatched, and I believe you did as well. We both rewatched the first Godzilla as well as Kong Skull Island. I did end up watching about 45 minutes of the recent one. I just had some extra time. I was like, you know what? I might as well start it. And I like that they're in this weird kind of connected universe that's just goofy and silly and fun. I find all these movies fun. I just want to see monsters. Like the enemies, the humans. Like I wasn't necessarily rooting for Godzilla or Kong. I was rooting for the monsters to kill the humans. There is a moment in this movie where something really cool happens. And if you're just a fan of like big monsters fighting or the Godzilla franchise at all, like you'll be pumped to see this. And I kid you not, that like gif of like the screaming baby, I sent it to Kyle the second we got out because that was literally me in the theater. At one point I was like, yes, I was like freaking out. I was so pumped. And my dad next to me was like, geez. So were the little kids in the seats like way over. They're like,
dude, calm down.
Is that my teacher? And I really enjoyed it, but I want to point this out because there's so much talk about this. So last night I had some time and I decided, Kyle and I are in a movie club with a bunch of our friends where we pick and watch movies. And instead of watching the movie that we need to watch by next week, I decided to rewatch the Steven Spielberg documentary on HBO that came out in 2017 because Steven Spielberg's my all-time favorite director, things like that. And Um, and I really wanted to watch it. And so, because I only seen it the one time in 2017. So I watched it. It's about 2.5 hours. It's absolutely fantastic with lots of interviews, but Steven talked a lot. And you forget that Steven Spielberg at a time when he created the blockbuster, I mean, him and George Lucas really created the blockbusters. And he was interviewed, and they show clips of all these interviews where they say, don't you want to be a serious filmmaker who makes serious movies? Like, you're taking away the art. And they literally show a clip where he does this, and this is before he makes Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, okay.
It's right before he made his first one, which was The Color Purple.
Mhm.
And um, they ask him, and he says, well, why can't art be silly? Like, why can't art be different? Why does art have to be this super serious in tone? He says that to them. And this is arguably the greatest director of all time. And I say arguably because
Mhm.
I can hear Nick going, what about Tarantino? I can hear Nick in the distance. My brother's freaking out. But yeah, I lost my train of
Tar-
thought, freaking
well,
out.
Tarantino also likes just about any movie. Any movie for him is art too. But yeah, I know
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Though. I know what
And
you're saying.
he says that. He says, why can't those movies be art? And we give a lot of
Mhm.
these movies like Kong and Godzilla, the Fast and Furious franchise, a lot of flack for them being stupid movies. And they're not stupid movies. They're not. They are not an integral, creative, really, heart-wrenching plot like a movie like Portrait of a Lady on Fire or Saving Private Ryan, or Schindler's List. But but they're still art, they're still creative, and they still try to do things within that story they told, which is art to me. So these movies, they get so much flack, like, and you're not wrong, the characters are not great, but for myself, also as such a fan of disaster movies, I love when the characters talk about the wacky science that is basically made up, or we've gotten a little futuristic or something. I like that stuff. Or when they try to make it as realistic as possible, but at the same time, they're there to entertain you. And so that's why this movie to me and this franchise is so much fun. And it's why the Fast and Furious franchise is just so much fun, because they know what they're making, and it allows for the actors and the writers and the director to really get into it. And Adam Wingard, I think you could tell, had fun. I mean, the biggest critique of the 2013 Godzilla was you never see Godzilla. So then they showed him a lot in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and they show him a lot in this one, and they do a lot of close-ups on him, which I really liked, and you get a lot of the detail of the monsters.
Yeah, it was really good.
Um, and I just wanted to make that comparison because it came into my head that these are art movies, and to trash them I think is a little too harsh. People act like you're an idiot if you enjoy these films, and there's always going to be fun, guilty pleasures that we have that are not necessarily as serious. But
Mhm.
these movies they're fun. They're really fun, and it's fun watching Kong pick up like a giant axe and hit Godzilla with it. It's a good time, and it's really, really fun. And if you would rather not, waste your time watching this, and you'd rather watch slow burn art movies all the time, then go for it. But I'm going to do both. I want to see them both. I want to enjoy all types of storytelling. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to get on my soapbox a little bit there, because I think this movie's a lot of fun. Do you have anything else, or should we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I echo those sentiments about that stuff. I echo what you're saying about Godzilla versus Kong. That's the name of the movie. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you guys again to our patrons. We really, really appreciate it. If you're not a member of the Patreon, go be a member of the Patreon. Go get some of our Movie Meals merch. We got lots of cool stuff over there. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check everything else out on the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.